The on-air light is red and my voice is steady and my phone is lighting up on the desk beside the soundboard like something that has been waiting for permission to go wrong. I keep talking. And that's what makes this city worth showing up for every morning, I say, in the voice I built over 11 years, warm and grounded and slightly self-deprecating, the voice that 400,000 people tune to at 6 a.m. because it sounds like someone who actually means it. The phone lights up again. I keep my eyes on the script. 3 minutes to break. The email notification sits there in my peripheral vision. HR. Subject line visible in the preview. Immediate transfer, reassignment effective. I catch the words 2,000 miles before I look away. My throat goes dry in the specific way of something that knows the news before the mind does. 2 minutes. I smile for the microphone, which is a real skill, smiling for something that cannot see you, and I finish the segment with my voice completely intact. The on-air light goes dark. I reach for my phone. The email is 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph uses the word opportunity 4 times. The second paragraph contains the city name, which is 2,000 miles west of everything I know. The third paragraph says a one-way travel arrangement has been coordinated and that HR is available for questions during business hours. I read it twice. Then the studio door opens and 2 members of building security are standing in it with the specific posture of people who have been told to be present without being told what to say. Lena Cross appears behind them. My executive producer for 6 years. The person who told me at my 5-year anniversary lunch that I was the best instinct hire she had ever made. She is wearing the expression she uses when something is uncomfortable and she has decided to manage the discomfort rather than the problem. Jonah, she says. Can we talk in my office? Sure, I say because security is watching and I have 11 years of professional composure to spend. Her office smells like the same candle it has always smelled like. She closes the door and sits and folds her hands and looks at me with something that is calibrated to read as reluctant. There was a leak, she says. Internal audio from the executive strategy session last month. It went to 3 journalists. I didn't leak anything, I say. The file path. I don't care what the file path says, I say. I didn't do it. She looks at me with the patience of someone who has already decided this conversation is a formality. The transfer protects you, she says. If this goes to legal, you lose your license, your contract, everything. This way you keep working. 2,000 miles away, I say. It's a real station, she says. Lena. I say her name the way I say things when I need them to carry weight. Who benefits from me being gone? She is quiet for a half second too long. Don't fight this, she says, and her voice drops to something that is trying to sound like concern and landing closer to warning. Don't fight me, Jonah. You'll lose everything. I look at her for a long moment. Then I stand up. In the hallway, Carter Voss is leaning against the wall outside my studio with my headset on his head, the one I bought myself 3 years ago because the station standard issue hurt my ears. He is laughing at something on his phone. He sees me. He does not take the headset off. He smiles. I walk to my desk. My family photo is face down on the surface, which is not how I left it this morning. On top of it is a printed airline ticket. One way. I pick up the photo and turn it right side up. I look at the ticket. I look at the hallway where Carter Voss is still wearing my headset. I take out my notebook and I write the date and I write Carter Voss and I write Lena Cross and I write the exact words she said. Don't fight me, Jonah. You'll lose everything. Then I write underneath it, watch me. The box is standard issue cardboard, which is the institutional way of saying your life here fits in something disposable. I pack slowly because packing slowly is the only form of resistance available to me right now, and I have always believed in using what you have. My coworkers do the thing. The careful thing. Eyes finding urgent business on screens, conversations that start just as I pass, the elaborate choreography of a room pretending one of its members is not being erased in real time. I have watched other people experience this and I always thought I would handle it with more dignity than I feel right now. I handle it with approximately the same amount. Paula from HR appears at my elbow at 9:40 with a form and a pen and the expression of someone who chose this profession because they genuinely wanted to help people and is currently finding the gap between that intention and this moment very uncomfortable. This is temporary, she says. She is looking at the form. Paula, I say. She looks up. Is it? I ask. She looks back at the form. Sign here and here. I sign. I take my copy. I put it in the box on top of the microphone pop filter I bought with my own money 4 years ago and the coffee mug from my first broadcast anniversary and the photo of my daughter that I turned back right side up this morning and am not turning face down again for anyone. Lena walks by at 10:12. She does not stop. She slows, which is a specific choice, slowing without stopping, the movement of someone who wants to be seen acknowledging something without being accountable to it. You'll be fine out there, she says, the warm detached tone of a doctor describing someone else's prognosis. Fresh start. New market. Lena, I say. Why are you doing this? She stops now. She looks at me with an expression I have never seen on her in 6 years, something beneath the professional composure that is harder to categorize. Because you don't know what you are to me, she says. Then she walks away. I stand beside my cardboard box and turn that sentence over the way you turn something sharp, carefully, looking for the angle that makes it make sense. I don't find it. I call Sienna from the parking structure at 10:43 because the parking structure has no audience and I need to not have an audience for this call. She answers on the third ring. Jonah. Hey, I say. I need you to hear me. The transfer is based on an accusation I didn't do. A pause that lasts slightly too long. People are saying you did something wrong. I know what people are saying, I say. I'm telling you what happened. I believe you think that, she says. The sentence lands in a specific place. Sienna, I need you to trust me. Not people. Me. I just need some time, she says. To process. Time, I repeat. This is a lot, she says. Yes, I say. It is. I hang up and sit in the parking structure for 4 minutes doing nothing, which is the most honest response I have to the conversation I just had. Quinn finds me at the elevator at 11:08. Quinn has been the station's senior engineer for 9 years and speaks almost exclusively in technical facts, which is the reason I trust everything he says. He looks at the box under my arm. He looks at the hallway. He presses a sticky note into my palm with the efficiency of someone completing a task they decided on hours ago. I read it in the elevator. Your login was used at 2:14 a.m. You were not here. I checked the badge logs. I fold it once and put it in my jacket pocket. The gate agent scans my boarding pass at 11:52 and says, "One way." For now, I say. I find my seat and put the box in the overhead and take out my notebook and write Quinn's name and the time in the badge log detail before the doors close and I lose the signal. The plane lifts. The city shrinks below me into something that looks, from this height, like it was always going to let me go. I keep writing. The terminal at Grayfield Regional Airport has one baggage carousel and a coffee machine that takes cash only. I stand beside it with my cardboard box and my carry-on and the specific feeling of someone who has arrived somewhere they did not choose and is trying to locate a version of themselves that can work with that. The town from the road looks like something that grew here accidentally rather than by intention. Low buildings. Wide streets that have more space in them than the traffic requires. A water tower with the town name in letters that have been repainted recently, which suggests someone still believes in the place, which I decide to treat as a good sign. The station is 6 blocks from the main road. Carvien. The letters on the building are the same height as the door. The building itself is the kind of structure that was built to be functional in a decade when functional was enough and has not been updated since the decade changed its mind. Inside, the reception desk is unstaffed. A space heater runs in the corner. The hallway smells like old carpet and the specific staleness of a building that keeps its windows closed year-round. Mr. Alden Pierce is waiting in what I assume is his office because it is the only room with a closed door and a nameplate. He is in his 60s with the bearing of someone who has been running a small operation for long enough that small has stopped feeling like a limitation and started feeling like a preference. He looks at my box. At me. At my box again. You're the transfer, he says. Jonah Marsh, I say. Yes. He nods once. I run a quiet station. No controversy. No politics. No drama imported from wherever you came from. He holds my gaze. You read the weather, you do the morning segment, you stay in your lane. We understand each other? We do, I say. Good. He stands and gestures for me to follow. Your desk is down the hall. The desk is beside a vending machine. The vending machine hums at a frequency that I suspect will become the dominant sound of my existence here. The desk has a crack running from the left corner to approximately the center, which someone has addressed with packing tape that has since yellowed. There is a monitor, a phone, and a desk lamp with a bulb that is slightly too yellow for comfort. I set my box down. I look at the desk. I sit. The apartment is a 12-minute walk from the station. Diego is my roommate by the arrangement the station apparently made with the building, which suggests KRVN has a history of receiving people who arrive without local connections. Diego opens the door in a sweatshirt that reads property of N01 and the expression of someone who has been through enough versions of this introduction to have developed a shorthand. You're the radio guy, he says. Yes, I say. From the big market. Yes. He looks at my cardboard box. So what did you do to get banished? I laugh. It comes out broken in the middle, which surprises me, and I cover it by setting the box down on the floor. Someone else did something, I say. And I got the geography. He nods like this is a category of event he recognizes. Couch is yours until Friday. Room's ready after that. There's coffee but no milk. That's fine, I say. I call Sienna at 8:47. It rings 5 times and goes to voicemail, and I listen to her recorded voice ask me to leave a message, and I do not leave a message because I do not know how to compress what I need to say into the format. At the station the next morning I sit at the cracked desk and wake the monitor and find, already present in the file directory, a folder. Jonah, incident. It is sitting there like a room that was prepared before I arrived. I stare at it for a long moment without opening it, the way you stare at something that confirms what you suspected and hoped was wrong. Someone built this before I landed. I open my notebook. I write the folder name and the date and the time. Outside, the storm warning that came across the wire at 6 a.m. is becoming visible in the actual sky, clouds building at the western edge of the flat horizon with the specific intention of something that has been traveling a long distance to arrive here. I step outside the station's back door. The wind hits me before I clear the threshold, full and cold and completely indifferent to everything that brought me here. I stand in it. I let it scream. The roads turn to glass somewhere between the station and the edge of town. I feel it before I see it, the specific absence of friction under the tires, the steering wheel going light in a way that means the car and the road have stopped agreeing about direction. The storm that screamed outside the station door this morning spent the day turning precipitation into ice, and the ice spent the evening becoming the condition of every surface between me and wherever I am going. I drive at 30, then 25. The heater runs. The radio plays the overnight programming from a station 3 states away. I think about the folder on the cracked desk at KRVN. Jonah, incident. I think about Quinn's sticky note in my jacket pocket. I think about the way Lena said you don't know what you are to me and then walked away before the sentence could be examined. The headlights appear on the curve. Not fast exactly, but sliding. The other car coming around the bend with the sideways drift of something that has lost the argument with the road and is now negotiating with physics instead. I hit my brakes. This is the wrong instinct on ice, and I know it in the half-second after I do it, which is the specific cruelty of knowledge that arrives just after the decision. The world rotates. Not dramatically. Just a quarter turn, maybe less, the car describing a slow arc across the center line, and then the shoulder, and then the drop where the shoulder ends, and then a sound I feel more than hear, and then stillness. I am on the side of the road. My window is intact. The airbag did not deploy. My sleeve is dark and wet, and when I look at it the darkness is blood from somewhere near my elbow that I cannot yet feel. In the dark, somewhere close, a child is crying. I push the door open. The other car is 15 feet away with the front quarter panel against the culvert embankment and smoke beginning to find its way up from somewhere beneath the hood. Not fire yet. The warning before fire. I cross the ice on my hands and knees because standing is not available to me yet. The passenger window is cracked but not gone. Inside, a woman gripping the wheel with both hands, conscious, and in the back seat a child, seat-belted, crying the continuous cry of someone frightened rather than injured. And the teenage boy in the passenger seat whose door will not open from the outside. I get the window down. I talk to him. I tell him my name. I tell him the door is stuck but he is going to come through the window and I need him to trust me for 60 seconds. He trusts me for 60 seconds. We are 15 feet from the car when the smoke changes character. I sit on the ice with the boy beside me and the child crying behind us and the woman on her phone calling for help, and I feel the cold come through my jacket in layers. The ambulance lights arrive in blue and red. Dr. Anika Shah looks at me in the way of someone making 2 assessments simultaneously. The medical one and something else. You moved an accident victim, she says. The smoke was changing, I say. You could have made a spinal injury worse, she says. The smoke was changing, I say again. She holds my gaze for a moment. Brave and stupid, she says, and begins examining my arm with the efficiency of someone who has decided to treat both. In the ear, my arm is being cleaned when my phone buzzes on the bed beside me. Lena. I answer by accident or almost by accident, the kind of accident that happens when a person is tired and bleeding and perhaps not entirely opposed to the outcome. Stop digging, Jonah, she says. No greeting. Nor you alive. I look at Dr. Shah who is looking at the phone. Lena. You belong where I put you, she says. Stay there. Dr. Shah's face does something I have not seen on someone's face in a long time. Hardness. Clean and specific and decided. She looks at me. Who is that? My executive producer, I say. Former. She looks at the phone. Is she always like that? I'm starting to think yes, I say. Dr. Shah picks up her chart and writes something. Then she looks at me again with an expression that has shifted from medical assessment into something more direct. You should talk to someone about what just happened on that call, she says. Both of them. The road and the phone. I have a notebook, I say. That's a start, she says. Pain arrives fully on the second day after the accident, which is the body's way of letting you handle the emergency before presenting the invoice. I lie on Diego's couch with my arm wrapped and my notebook on my chest, and I look at the ceiling of the apartment and I let myself be honest in the specific way you can only be honest when you are too tired to maintain the alternative. I have been waiting for Lena to make sense. That is the truth I have been carrying under everything else, the hope that there is an explanation that explains rather than just explains away, that she will call and say something that rearranges the last 3 weeks into a shape I can understand and forgive and move forward from. She called last night. She didn't ask if I was alive. I close the notebook. I open it again. I write, stop waiting for her to be different. She is already what she is. Quinn's email arrives at 11:43 using an address I don't recognize, which means he made a new one for this purpose, which means he thought about the risk before deciding the information was worth it. The email is short. Quinn writes the way he talks in technical facts without decoration. Found irregular access logs. 3 instances non-business hours. Deleted audio export traced to Carter's workstation. Timestamp matches the night of the alleged leak. Badge records show Carter in the building. Your badge records show you were not. He ends with, I can't send the files from here. Tell me where. I sit up too fast and my arm reminds me of the culvert. I write back with a personal encrypted address I set up last night because Quinn's sticky note told me I would need one eventually and eventually arrived faster than I planned. Diego appears in the doorway eating cereal. You look like someone who just received good news that also terrifies him. Accurate, I say. Maya's free this afternoon, he says. I texted her. Maya Lynn operates her podcast from a converted storage room above a hardware store that she has furnished with a mixing board, 2 microphones, and a wall of printed documents that I understand immediately to be her evidence of things she is working on. She looks at me the way journalists look at sources, assessing without committing. Diego says you're worth talking to, she says. Diego is optimistic, I say. He's usually right, she says. Talk. I talk for 20 minutes. The transfer, the folder, the login at 2:14 a.m., Quinn's email, the phone call, and what Lena said. Maya listens without interrupting, which is the skill that separates real listeners from people waiting to respond. When I finish, she says, if you want to win this, don't scream. Show receipts. I'm collecting them, I say. Collect faster, she says. And while you're collecting, build your audience here. The louder your local signal, the harder it is to bury you a second time. I have 40 listeners, I say. 40 people who chose a small station over 100 other options, she says. That's not nothing. That's a foundation. The late-night segment is Mr. Pierce's idea, which surprises me. You're not sleeping anyway, he says. Neither is anyone worth talking to at 11 p.m. Do something real. I call it honest signal. The first night I talk about what it means to be transferred 2,000 miles for something you didn't do. I don't name anyone. I just tell the truth of it, what it feels like and what it costs and what you do with yourself after. The call-in line opens. It does not stop. The certified letter arrives on a Thursday, slipped under the station door in a yellow envelope. Cease and desist, defamation, interference with business relationships. Signed by Lena Cross. I photograph it. I send the photograph to Quinn, to Maya, and to the encrypted folder I have been building since the night I wrote "Watch Me" in my notebook in the parking structure. Then I walk into the studio and I put on my headset and I go to AI.mr. Pierce calls me in at 8:15 on a Monday with the expression of a man delivering whether he did not personally create. He sits. I sit. He opens a folder that has my name on the tab and closes it again without reading from it, which means the folder is a prop. Corporate cult, he says. Which corporate? I ask because KRVN's ownership structure involves 3 layers of holding companies and I spent an evening last week understanding why. The relevant one, he says. They have concerns about your attitude. My attitude, I say. Your segment is being suspended, he says. Pending review. What segment? The morning commentary, he says. The one you built in the last 3 weeks. I built the morning commentary in the last 3 weeks because the morning slot was empty and Mr. Pierce said fill it, and I filled it with the thing I know how to do, which is talk to people in a way that makes them feel less alone at 6 a.m. The numbers have been the best KRVN has seen in 4 years. Diego told me that. Mr. Pierce told me that. The numbers told me that. The numbers are up, I say. The complaint isn't about the numbers, he says. What's it about? I ask. He looks at the closed folder. Attitude, he says again. My paycheck does not arrive on Friday. I check the portal 3 times. I call Paula, who is still in HR 2,000 miles away and who answers with the specific tone of someone who has been expecting my call and does not want to have it. There's a processing delay, she says. How long? I ask. It's being reviewed, she says. I sit on the edge of my bed in the apartment I share with Diego and look at the wall and understand something I have been circling for 3 weeks. Lena Cross does not need to be in this city to put her hand around my throat. She built the architecture before I left. The folder on the desk. The transfer documentation. The corporate complaint. The paycheck hold. She is 2,000 miles away and her reach arrived here before I did. Sienna calls at 11:47 p.m. I know from the hour that something has shifted. Sienna does not call at 11:47 p.m. when things are normal. She is crying before she speaks, the specific crying of someone who has been doing it for a while and is now doing it on the phone instead of alone. I saw photos, she says. Of what? I ask. Carter and Lena, she says. At a party. A private one. 2 weeks before you were transferred. I am quiet. They looked like they knew each other well, she says. Like they had known each other for a while. Yes, I say. I think they did. She cries harder. I believe them, Jonah. When they said you leaked the audio. I believed it because I felt, she stops. Because I was embarrassed. People kept asking me about you and I didn't know what to say and it was easier to say I didn't know what you did. The sentence lands in the place that has been waiting for the honest version of the last 3 weeks. You were embarrassed, I say. To be with the disgraced host. I'm sorry, she says. I know, I say. Jonah. I didn't lose my job, Sienna, I say. I lost my place in your heart. Those are different losses. She doesn't answer that. We stay on the line for another minute without speaking, which is the kindest version of an ending available to this conversation. Then we hang up. I stare at the wall until the wall becomes light, which takes until 5:43 a.m. Diego knocks at 6. He is holding a padded envelope with no return address and the specific expression of someone who found something interesting and has been waiting a reasonable amount of time before delivering it. Came yesterday, he says. Didn't want to interrupt. I open it at the kitchen table. Inside, wrapped in a single sheet of plain paper, is a cassette tape. The edges are burned, not destroyed, burned carefully like someone held a flame near the plastic until it marked and then stopped. On the label, in handwriting I recognize because I have seen it on 6 years of production notes. Jonah Reed, first audition. My first audition. 11 years ago. Under the tape, a note in different handwriting, printed, unidentifiable. 6 words. She kept this. Ask why. I turn the tape over in my hand. I look at the burned edges. I look at Diego. Do you have anything that plays cassettes? He stares at me. What year do you think I was born? I'll find one, I say. I put the tape in my jacket pocket, next to Quinn's sticky note. Then I open my notebook. Maya works the digitization setup in the back room of the Grayfield Library with the focused quiet of someone who chose her profession because she genuinely loves the physical reality of recorded sound. She is the station's part-time archivist, which at KRVN means she catalogs 40 years of local broadcasts on equipment that requires knowing which buttons to hold simultaneously. When I showed her the cassette, she looked at the burned edges and said, "Someone wanted this to feel dramatic," and I said, "Someone succeeded," and she said, "Give me an hour." It takes 40 minutes. She transfers the audio to a laptop and we sit in the back room with the library's particular quiet around us and she presses play. My voice comes out of the speakers. Younger. Not unrecognizable, but lighter, the voice of someone who has not yet spent 11 years calibrating warmth for mass consumption and is instead just being warm because that is the natural condition of who he was at 24. I just want my voice to matter, I hear myself say from 11 years ago in an audition room I remember as being slightly too cold. Not to be famous. Not to be the biggest show. I just want someone driving to work at 6 in the morning to feel like the day is worth starting. Maya glances at me. I look at the laptop. The audition continues for another 3 minutes. Standard material. A weather read. A local interest story. The thing I did with my voice on the story about the school fundraiser that apparently made the room decide something. Then there is a pause on the recording. Then a sound that is not part of the audition. A voice. Lena's voice, quieter, the specific quality of someone speaking without awareness of a running tape. He's perfect, she says. A breath. He'll be mine. The recording ends. The library is very quiet. Maya reaches over and closes the laptop. She does this with the deliberateness of someone giving a statement time to exist in a room before anyone responds to it. That's not mentorship, she says. No, I say. That's obsession, she says. She heard you at 24 and decided something about you that you never agreed to. I think about the sentence she said in my office when I asked her why. Because you don't know what you are to me. Now I know. She built my career, I say. She built what she wanted to own, Maya says. There's a difference. My phone buzzes on the table. Quinn. A file transfer notification, which is how Quinn communicates things he does not want to put in a message. I open it on my phone. A chat log. Exported and time-stamped. The platform is internal, the kind companies use and assume are private, which is the assumption that produces evidence in situations like this one. Lena. Carter, I need you to understand what this gets you. Carter, I understand. Lena, frame Jonah. The audio. Make it clean. Carter, and after? Lena, after you're the new star. My show. My name on the door. Yours on the billboard. Carter, how long has this been the plan? Lena, long enough. I read it twice. Then I forward it to my personal email and close the file. The invitation arrives 3 days later. Glossy. Heavy stock. The kind of production budget that is trying to communicate importance through paperweight. A live national charity broadcast, the annual one that my old station has hosted for 8 years, the one I have been part of for 6 of those 8 years. My old studio. My old city. Lena's signature at the bottom. Below it, in the specific font the station uses for personal editions. We'd love to have you join us as a guest, Jonah. Come home. I sit at the cracked desk beside the humming vending machine and read it 3 times. Diego reads it over my shoulder. Is this a setup? Yes, I say. He looks at me. You're buying a ticket anyway. Yes, I say. He nods slowly, the nod of someone who understands a decision without necessarily endorsing it. What are you going to do when you get there? I look at the invitation. I think about a younger version of my voice saying I just want my voice to matter. I'm going to matter, I say. That's not a plan, Diego says. It's the beginning of one, I say. And I open my laptop and buy the ticket before I find a reason not to. The studio looks the same. That is the first thing. I expected it to look different, the way places look different when enough has happened in them, but it looks exactly the same. The same lighting rig. The same carpet pattern in the green room. The same smell of the specific cleaning product that the building services team has used for as long as I have been coming here. Same. Like the last 3 months did not happen in any space that matters. Like they only happened to me. The charity night has the energy of an event that has been produced to feel spontaneous, which is the hardest kind of energy to produce and the most exhausting to be inside. Bright lights calibrated to look natural. Laughter calibrated to sound genuine. Faces arranged into the expressions of people who are present because they chose to be rather than because a publicist advised it. I move through it with my face steady, which is a professional skill, the same skill that let me finish a broadcast with my hand shaking over an HR email. Carter is on stage doing a sound check with the ownership of someone who has been told repeatedly that this is his room now. He has the headset on. Not mine, or at least not the one that was mine, but the posture is identical to the posture he had in the hallway the morning I packed my box. The ease of someone who received something without earning it and has decided the receiving is the same as deserving. I watch him from the edge of the room. Maya is near the 3rd row with her phone and the expression of someone running a specific errand. Quinn is visible through the control booth glass, headphones on, his monitor showing the broadcast feed. He raises 2 fingers at me without looking away from the screen. 2 minutes to the pre-show. Lena finds me behind the curtain at the stage left entrance. She walks toward me with the specific unhurried quality she uses when she wants a conversation to feel like she chose it rather than planned it. Jonah, she says. Her voice has warmth in it that I now understand is real, which makes it worse rather than better. Lena, I say. You came, she says. You invited me, I say. I didn't think you would. She looks at me with the expression I have been trying to categorize for 3 months and can now name, proprietary, the look of someone checking on something they believe they own. You could have stayed loyal, she says. I was loyal, I say. For 6 years. I was loyal to the work and to the station and to you as my producer. You were greedy. She tilts her head. Greedy. You wanted something I never offered, I say. And when you understood I wouldn't, you decided to own the outcome anyway. She is quiet for a moment. The sounds of the room come through the curtain, the crowd settling, the pre-show music finding its level. Then she says it. Not loudly. Almost gently, in the register of someone finally telling a truth they have been holding at pressure for a long time. I exiled you, she says, because if I couldn't have you close, I'd rather break you far away. I look at her. She looks at me. Neither of us moves for 2 full seconds. Then the sound comes through the curtain. Her voice. Her words. Broadcast at the volume of a room full of speakers calibrated for a live national charity event. I exiled you because if I couldn't have you close, I'd rather break you far away. Her face changes in stages. First confusion, the brain's refusal to process the impossible. Then recognition. Then the specific horror of someone hearing their own voice say the true thing in a room built to amplify. Her hand goes to her collar. The wireless microphone that Quinn clipped to her lapel 40 minutes ago during the pre-show setup, the one she did not notice because Quinn is very good at his job and Lena was focused on other things. The room beyond the curtain is frozen in the specific silence of an audience that has received information they were not prepared for. Carter's voice from the stage does not come. I pull the curtain back. The room is full of faces turned toward the speakers as though the speakers might clarify what they just broadcast. Carter's smile is gone. Not faded. Gone the way things go when the structure underneath him disappears. Lena's eyes find the control booth. Quinn looks back at her through the glass with the expression of a man who has been waiting a long time to do the right thing and has finally been given the conditions to do it. I walk to the stage. The clip is 17 seconds long. I know because Maya times it in the car on the way back to the hotel, playing it from 3 different platforms where it has already landed with the specific velocity of something that was always going to travel fast once it was released into the right room at the right moment. 17 seconds. Lena's voice. The whole sentence. By the time I reach my hotel room, it has been viewed 400,000 times. By the time I brush my teeth, it is trending in 2 categories simultaneously. By the time I sit on the edge of the bed with my notebook open on my knee, the sponsors are already moving. Not slowly. The way sponsors move when a brand calculates risk in real time and finds the number on the wrong side of acceptable. 3 pull confirmations come through the station's public account before midnight. A 4th by 1 a.m. The charity itself releases a statement that uses the word reviewing and does not use the word standing by. Paula calls me at 7:42 the next morning. Not the Paula who looked at forms instead of faces. A Paula who sounds like someone who has been sitting with a decision for 3 months and has finally been given the conditions to make it. We have enough to reopen your case, she says. Quinn's access logs, the chat record, the audio from last night. The board is convening this morning. Thank you, Paula, I say. Pause. I should have looked at the badge log when Quinn first flagged it, she says. Yes, I say. You should have. She accepts that. There will be an investigator reaching out today. Will you be available? I'll be available, I say. The board meeting happens without me in it, which is the correct way for it to happen. I have given everything to Mira, who drove through the night because she said this is the kind of thing you show up for in person. She sits in the building I was walked out of 3 months ago with my cardboard box, and she speaks with the flat precision of someone who has been waiting to deploy a very organized truth. Lena finds me in the lobby at 11. Not with composure. Without it. She has the specific appearance of someone who spent the night understanding that the architecture they built is load-bearing in ways they did not intend and is now watching it distribute the weight wrong. Jonah, she says. Oh wait. I only wanted to protect what we had, she says. Her voice is uneven and real, and I believe it is real, which is the most complicated part of this moment. Lena, I say. What did we have? She opens her mouth. Because from where I stood, I say, I had a job. A career I built with my own voice over 11 years. A morning show that 400,000 people chose to start their day with. I pause. What did you think we had? She looks at me with the expression of someone for whom the answer is obvious and has just realized it is not obvious to anyone else. I thought, she starts. You thought I was yours, I say. I was never yours. I was your colleague, and for 6 years I was grateful to you as a producer. That's real. But you built a cage around it and called it closeness. She cries. I feel the sadness of it without the pull. They are different things. Sadness that a person who had real talent and real intelligence and real love for radio built something this destructive around it. No pull toward fixing it for her. What did we have? I say again quietly. A job. Or a cage. She cannot answer. Carter's cooperation with the board investigation lasts approximately 4 hours before it becomes clear he is cooperating specifically to reduce his own exposure, which is the version of loyalty he has always practiced. His deals, 3 of them in development with the station's partner network, collapse by end of business because the partner network reads the trending clip and makes the same calculation the sponsors made. Sienna finds me outside the building at 4 in the afternoon. She is shaking in the specific way of someone who has been working up to a moment for hours. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I was wrong." I look at her. At the face I have known for 3 years and the expression on it that is honest and late, and both of those things simultaneously. "You left when it got ugly," I say. "Not when you had proof I was wrong. When it was ugly and inconvenient and people were asking you questions you didn't want to answer." "I know," she says. "I needed you to stay," I say. "Not to fix it. Just to stay." She nods with the weight of someone who understands they cannot undo the specific thing that mattered. "I'm not angry at you," I say. "I'm just honest about what happened." She nods again. We stand in the afternoon quiet of a city I thought I knew, and I feel the clean specific shape of an ending that is not a wound. Just a line. Just the truth of where something stopped. Dr. Shah's witness statement, submitted through the investigator, documents the phone call in the ER. Lena's voice saying "you belong where I put you." Quinn's logs establish the access timeline. The chat record between Lena and Carter establishes intent. Lena is removed from her position by end of week. The formal charges take another 10 days to file. Harassment. Fraud. The specific legal language for building a cage around someone and calling it a career. I go back to Grayfield on a Thursday. Not because I have to. Because I choose to. Because Mr. Pierce, who called me the morning after the clip went viral with the specific tone of a man who has recalculated several things, said the morning slot is mine without the corporate oversight that was never really his to begin with. And because Diego left a note on the kitchen table that said, "Coffee's on," and that is enough. I sit at the cracked desk beside the humming vending machine and I open the independent hosting platform that Maya helped me set up, and I look at the microphone and I think about a 24-year-old in a cold audition room saying I just want my voice to matter. The on-air light goes red. I lean forward. "Good morning," I say in the voice that is mine, that has always been mine, that no one gave me and no one could take. Let's start the day. Outside, Grayfield is waking up. And for the first time in 3 months I am exactly where I chose to be.